Alrighty, running rants and recaps. It is the 8th of June. We're about 5 weeks away from the Woo 2K 65km ultra marathon now. I think we're about 3 weeks removed from the previous marathon where I ran a personal best. Came up short from the goal due to a couple of issues that I've spoken about in previous videos, but now we're back on track. This week has definitely been the first week where I feel like I've gotten my health back. Probably wouldn't say I'm 100%, but those breathing problems I was having last week, they are gone now. I've managed to complete 2 really good quality workouts this week, which I'm stoked about. And what I want to talk about at the beginning of this video is how I'm cross-training at the moment. I got a gym membership last weekend, I think it was. No, sorry, went to the gym, ended up getting the membership middle of this week. But anyway, what I'm going to do to break down the start of this video is break down the percentages of how much running I'm doing and then how I'm offsetting that with the cross-training, sort of how I'm structuring that. And what I'm planning on doing moving forward, and some other things that I'm sort of implementing in this build for this next race that is unique to any other builds that I've done in the past. Really trying to put together everything I've learned over the last few years, all the mistakes I've made. I'm sort of a bit of a running joke with my group of mates, where I always train really well and I race really poorly. And it's completely all my own doing, which I want to talk about in this video, because I think it's quite easy to get quite, what's the word I'm looking for? Just to not believe in yourself, not have that self-belief and start overtraining, preparing for a race, and just not trusting in the process and trying to do those heroic workouts to give yourself a bit of self-confidence, but really you're just taking away the potential on race day. So I'll get into that a little bit further into the video, but I've written down now, so I don't forget, roughly the percentages of each protocol that I'm using in my cross-training protocol. So running this week has only taken up about 53% of the training. I've covered about 70 kilometers and about 1500 meters of vert, where most of that vert was actually done yesterday, which I'll talk about shortly, which was a really good run. About 20, and that was about 6.5 hours, 6.4 hours, something like that this week. So the total volume of training was 12 hours this week. Weights, 2.5 hours, about 21% of my training has been weightlifting this week. I've just got a simple setup at my home. I've got a squat rack, some free weights, a TRX, a rock climbing grip. What are they called? Whatever they are, they've got the different grips on them. I can do pull-ups and just hang from there, which has been part of my rehab protocol for fixing my lower back. So the elliptical has taken up 1 hour 40, about 14% of my training has been on the elliptical. I haven't done any workouts on the elliptical, just getting the legs spinning and a bit of zone 2 cardio really. And the spin bike, which I did this morning at the gym, that was 55-minute session. I did some intervals, 1 minute on, 2 minutes off. You can see it on my Strava. And that's 8% of the training. The stepper I tried the other night. For the first time I did 30 minutes on the step machine, so that's only taken up about 4% of my training, but I am going to look at implementing that a little bit more in the future. It's a little bit of an awkward machine. You've got to really be dialed in. I kept sort of tripping up on the steps as they're sort of rotating, but really do like the machine. I found that when I stepped off it and I went back to the machine to go clean it, I went to hop onto the machine, it was stopped at this point, and as I stepped up onto it, it felt like I just sort of like floated up it, like my legs were so activated to climb a step, which I think is going to carry over to obviously trail running and ultra marathons. I think the strength gained on the stepper is going to be quite important, and it felt quite healthy on the legs as well, and not as much shock going through the body that you get when you're running. So I'll just touch on a couple of the sessions that I did this week, the really important sessions that as my speed in my legs is coming back from the marathon. I really gave it about, the first week after the marathon, zero running, absolute garbage. I was bedridden for 4 days, still getting over the stomach bug. Last week was the first week back into training, did a little bit of pickups and added in some speed, sort of sprinkled it in when I felt okay. But this week is where I started dialing in and doing some more sort of planned training sessions. So on Wednesday, I went down to the park, and I call this strength training in disguise. So I did my intervals on the grass. And if you've ever run on grass, you'll know how much it sort of pulls you down into the ground. It really works your thigh muscles, and it gives me a similar burn in the legs as if I'm climbing. Obviously it's not the same as climbing, but it's just an extra bit of strength training, and I love the feeling of the grass in terms of just not feeling as jarring as running on concrete. Concrete I just find so jarring on the body, so I try to avoid it as much as I can. So really bang for your buck, I believe, running on grass. You get that extra strength gain from it just being, it takes a lot of snap out of your legs. Your feet sort of sink into the grass. So it's difficult in that respect. It helps you build strength, and you have to be very efficient with your leg turnover to get that forward propulsion. But it's also less jarring on the body, I find. So it's a real good bang for your buck there. And so what I did was 2 minutes on, 2 minutes off, and I did about 7 rounds, I think, of that. This was my first session back, so I was giving myself a bit of grace. I had 10 reps in my mind, but I started slowing down. So I said, okay, listen to your body. 7 reps or 7 sets is what's good for your body today. So it was a 5k warm-up, did those reps, and then finished off with 8 kilometers. Just at my park, we've just got these small hills at the park, and they've got some good little climbs, quite steep, but not too, quite short. So I got in about 200 meters of vert over that entire session, just rolling through those hills and just getting a steady run in to finish off that session, which was 20 kilometers in total. Then I cross-trained at the gym for the following 2 days, jumped on the treadmill for a little bit on the Friday, pure elliptical session on the, treadmill Thursday, elliptical Friday. Then Saturday yesterday had a really good session, just shy of 1,200 meters of vert over 22 kilometers. So we've got this beautiful area, this local area that I absolutely love running. It's about a 25-minute drive to get there, and I got some footage. So I thought my plan is to add in a bit more footage of just my day-to-day, sort of start vlogging these a little bit. I am someone who, I do get a bit self-conscious sort of filming, especially out in public. I don't want to take the moment away from other people in public if they see me filming and they're trying to just go for a nice walk, and if I'm filming and distracting them from their day, I feel a little bit guilty. So personally, I don't enjoy filming too much in public, but at the same time I do really want to bring people along with this journey. I do plan on documenting this long term, so yeah, I'll try and get as much footage as I can, just bit more day-to-day stuff, a little bit more insight into what's going on. So got a bit of footage from the run yesterday, which is quite cool, some beautiful scenery, and just a really good solid run. I just kept the pace steady the whole time. Yeah, like I said, 22 kilometers, 1,200 meters of vert. It was about 2.5 hours of running, and it was just a good quality running through the hills. It was a rainy day, so it was a bit slippery, which did slow the pace down a little bit. I was slipping and sliding a little bit, but really good fun. aftermath of a good run. And yeah, so that's sort of how the training has been going this week. I feel like it was executed perfectly to the plan, so to speak, while also just giving myself wiggle room to listen to the body day to day and change things if I needed, which I didn't really need to change too much, which is a really good sign, because in the past, what I've made the mistake of doing, like I said at the start of this video, is trying to do these heroic sessions far too frequently. And I think it was just not having confidence in myself and not trusting in a long-term process. And people who I've coached in the past, I would always give them this advice, but I wouldn't take it myself. And it was just foolish, really. And so that's what I'm doing now. I've got a good idea of what I know I can handle in a week to week. I managed to hit my 12-hour quota of volume, so to speak, and I could have kept training this morning. I could have made it 13 hours for the week, or I could, go out for another run tonight and make it 14 hours or whatever. But I'm not being stupid like I was in the past. I'm really trying to just listen to my body and make sure I'm consistent week to week. So this 12-hour sort of volume, this is not a random number. This is something I've, just from years of training and learning my body, I know that's around about the sweet spot that I can handle, as long as I'm not overtraining in any one given day or session. So yesterday was a big day. I did the 2.5 hour run and an hour of weights. So it was around about 3.5 hours of training, but that's pre-planned. That's my Saturday session. I have a nap in the middle of the day after my morning run. And so it's just the day dedicated to training and recovery. So that's, and it's also something I've been thinking about is how I mentioned at the start of the race, I'm sort of the one in the group that wins all the training sessions and then has a really shit race on the day because I end up overtraining. And the best race I've ever executed was a race that I hadn't actually really been preparing for. I was only running about 70 kilometers a week. I was heavier than I normally am. I was about 81 kilograms going into that race because I'd been lifting a lot more weights. But generally, I was not stressed about my training. And I think this is one of the biggest things that I need to learn for myself personally, because I start overthinking my training a lot of the time and not believing in myself. And going into this race, like I said, I was heavier, I was a bit more muscle bound, but I wasn't overtrained. I went into it fresh and strong. And I came second place in that run. And I actually almost found myself holding back in most of that race. I didn't realise how fit I was going into that race. It wasn't until I got to about 15 kilometres. This was a 21 kilometre trail race. It wasn't about the 15 kilometre mark where I realised, far out, I'm fresh, I'm barely working. And we got to this downhill section and I just absolutely rocketed down there, just took off. And but anyway, it was a really good race because I had kept healthy leading up to it. So that's something I keep needing to repeat to myself during this build to this next race. Train hard, of course, push yourself, but don't dig into that well and don't do any stupid sessions where you're really drawing from that deep reservoir within yourself. Like, don't go into race day mode. Push yourself, but only to the point where you can recover and still feel healthy for the rest of the week. And part of that is I've actually gone back to eating more food. So I came to the conclusion that I haven't been eating enough food. I haven't been fueling correctly. My family used to call me garbage guts because if we ever had a family dinner, if we're ever out for dinner, if anyone couldn't finish their food, they'd give it to me because they know that I can just put back the food. But for some reason in recent years, I've almost been restricting my eating, feeling like it was a bit was a negative thing that I could eat so much, and I thought, oh, you know, I need to be lighter weight. I'm a runner. I need to lose a bit of weight. And all it's done is just made me sick and too skinny, unhealthy. So I've completely flipped the script now. I'm going back to garbage guts Jasper, where I can just pile back the food, and it's just made me going into each session with so much energy. My strength is back. It's just a really renewed, really positive feeling at the moment. Each training session feels great. I finished the training session feeling like I could do a little bit more, which is I think just that perfect sweet spot where you're not pushing too hard. You get the quality, you get the results that you want from each given session, and that's enough. That's all you need, and you just keep piling that on, looking for small increments here and there. Whether you lift a little bit heavier in the gym or go a little bit faster in your incline sprints on the treadmill, or you go a little bit faster on your intervals on the grass, or you hit a certain section at a hill faster, or you do some fast downhill sections, whatever area or metric you're looking at, whether it's on the spin bike, how much watts can you push for a certain period of time. There's all these little things that you can look at, especially cross training. It just opens up this whole world of possibilities. And it's just keeping all my old injuries at bay. I mean, when you're pushing your body, you're bound to pick up injuries, and I've had my fair few over the years. So now, as I'm heading towards my mid-30s, you know, it's that point of time where it's like, okay, this is make or break now. I want to get the most out of my running. I want to see how far I can push this. Let's stop making the same mistakes. Let's keep the body healthy, get strong, get faster, and just have some bloody fun with it all. So yeah, I think that's all I've written down for this time. So if there is anything that you do want to see more from this journey, I appreciate the people who have commented and who are following along. I really do appreciate it. It's really cool getting this feedback so far. So if you want to hear anything or whatever I've been learning, or any footage or something that you want to see a little bit more insight into, let me know, and I'll see what I can come up with. I mean, my schedule's pretty jam-packed. It's a pretty hectic schedule at the moment. You know, it's just working, training, making videos, trying to make music as well. But it's all fun. It's cool. It's all positive stuff, and it's just exciting. Looking forward to the next race, and we'll see what we can do. So 5 weeks out from the 65k Woo2K Ultra, and I am hyped. So thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Cheers.